I've spent more than 3 decades in clinics, emergency rooms, and quiet kitchens with patients who trust me enough to tell me the little habits they'd never say out loud to anyone else. Some of those habits are harmless, some are not. And if you look so ordinary that you'd never suspect they could send a healthy senior to the hospital. Tonight, I want to talk about one of the most familiar foods in your life: eggs. I love them. I teach people how to use them for strength, brain health, and stable blood sugar. But the truth is, those same eggs can become dangerous when we treat them carelessly. I learned that the hard way during residency. I grabbed a soft-cooked egg from the hospital cafeteria at 5 a.m., ran back to the ward between rounds, and wolfed it down. 12 hours later, I was sick, dehydrated, and embarrassed to be the doctor hooked up to IV fluids while my interns whispered, "Food poisoning?" The lab confirmed it. I was lucky. I was young, and I recovered fast. Not everyone does. For older adults, a simple egg mistake can escalate into days of weakness, dangerous dehydration, even sepsis. Before we begin, a quick note. This video is for educational purposes only and not medical advice. Use it to prepare smarter, then talk with your own clinician about what's right for you. Now, I want to hear from you because this channel is a real community. How old are you, and where are you watching from? Tell me in the comments. I truly read them. Your stories help me teach better and help other seniors stay safe. We're counting down the 7 mistakes I see most often, from number 7 to the single most dangerous one at number 1. I'll share a patient story with each, the science in plain English, and then a simple fix so you walk away confident, not afraid of this wonderful food. Ready? Let's start with the habit that seems innocent because it happens on the countertop, not on the plate. 7. Leaving eggs out at room temperature. I meet so many grandmothers who say, "We used to keep eggs in a bowl by the stove when I was a girl." That memory is beautiful, but it can be misleading today. In the US and many other countries, eggs are washed and sanitized before sale. That washing removes a natural protective coating called the cuticle. Without that seal, microscopic pores in the shell become tiny doorways. When eggs sit out warm, bacteria can move in and multiply. The Food and Drug Administration recommends refrigeration at or below 40 degrees Fahrenheit because bacterial growth slows dramatically in the cold. The CDC has repeatedly warned that salmonella can grow to infectious levels if eggs are left at room temperature more than 2 hours. Warmer kitchens shorten that window even more. A large review in the Journal of Infectious Diseases found that adults over 65 who develop salmonellosis are several times more likely to be hospitalized than younger adults. That mild bug in a 25-year-old can become a very serious illness in a 75-year-old. Ethel is 74, a retired church secretary with an immaculate kitchen. She kept a pretty ceramic bowl of eggs by the window because she liked the look of it. On a hot afternoon, she scrambled too, felt queasy by evening, and was in urgent care by night. Her stool culture came back positive. When we retraced her steps, the culprit wasn't some exotic food. It was those eggs sitting out for hours in warm light. Your fix? Refrigerate eggs as soon as you bring them home. Return cartons to the fridge after you grab what you need. Serve, enjoy, and if any cooked egg sits out for 2 hours, especially in warm weather, treat it as unsafe and discard. It's not wasteful, it's protective. The next mistake moves from the counter to the plate, and it sneaks in because eggs aren't bad, but because we forget that more isn't always better. 6. Eating too many yolks every single day. I'll never demonize yolks. They carry vitamin D, B12, choline for brain health, and antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin that your eyes adore. But dose matters, especially for older adults. Each yolk contains roughly 186 milligrams of dietary cholesterol. Many seniors metabolize cholesterol less efficiently with age, which means excess intake can push LDL higher and feed plaque formation in arteries already stiffening over the decades. A well-known 2012 paper in atherosclerosis examined carotid artery plaque and found a strong association between high habitual yolk intake and plaque burden in older adults, even after accounting for smoking. Later research has been more nuanced. Eggs can absolutely fit in a healthy heart pattern, but the pattern that worries me is daily, multiple yolk breakfasts stacked on top of saturated fats elsewhere in the day. Margaret is 70, a retired librarian who prided herself on a protein-rich breakfast, 3 fried eggs every morning. Her LDL crept into 170s, and a carotid ultrasound showed early narrowing. She didn't smoke, she walked, she gardened. The issue wasn't a single yolk, it was the daily accumulation of 3. Your fix? Keep the yolks to about 1 per day on average, unless your clinician has advised otherwise, and build the rest of your eggs from whites. 2 whites plus 1 yolk make a beautiful omelet with the richness you crave and a fraction of the cholesterol. If your doctor allows more, wonderful, but let that be a guided decision, not a guess. If the number of yolks can nudge arteries in the wrong direction, the next mistake multiplies the risk by inviting a well-marketed friend to breakfast, one that doesn't belong on the same plate. 5. Pairing eggs with processed meats. The postcard breakfast, eggs, bacon, sausage, looks cozy, but for arteries after 60, it's a storm front. Processed meats are salted, cured, and often packed with saturated fat and preservatives like nitrates. Large cohort analyses published in journals such as the European Heart Journal and BMJ have linked habitual processed meat intake with higher cardiovascular and all-cause mortality. When you pair those meats with multiple yolks, you stack cholesterol, sodium, and oxidative byproducts in one sitting. Walter is 68, a retired mechanic who still wakes up at dawn. 2 strips of bacon, a sausage patty, 3 eggs, black coffee, every day. His blood pressure crept to 170/95, his triglycerides climbed, and he felt thick and tired by noon. We changed nothing else at first, simply swapped the sides. Out with the bacon and sausage, in came sautéed spinach, tomatoes, and half an avocado. In 6 weeks, his blood pressure softened and his energy returned. Your fix? Keep the eggs, change the company they keep. Pair with vegetables, herbs, mushrooms, tomatoes, or a small portion of whole grains. If you love the smoky taste, lean on spices like smoked paprika or a dash of liquid smoke in a vegetable hash. Your heart will notice the difference. And if what rides beside your eggs matters, so does what you do to the eggs after they're cooked. This mistake seems thrifty until it isn't. 4. Reheating boiled eggs over and over. Batch cooking is smart. I do it. But repeatedly reheating boiled eggs are harder on aging stomachs than people realize. Eggs contain sulfur and iron. Prolonged heat and multiple reheats can push a reaction that generates more hydrogen sulfide, the same gas that gives rotten eggs their smell. Food science studies have shown that aggressive, repeated reheating increases off odors and can worsen digestibility. While we're not talking about lethal toxin levels in a household kitchen, we are talking about gastrointestinal distress in people with slower motility, reduced stomach acid, or sensitive gallbladders. Harold is 72, a retired postal worker who boiled a dozen eggs every Sunday, reheated them all week, sometimes twice in a day. By Thursday, they smelled stronger and sat in his gut like stones. He developed bloating, cramps, and a sense that food just stayed there. When he switched to cooking smaller batches and eating the rest cold within 48 hours, the symptoms settled. Your fix? Batch cook modestly. Store boiled eggs in the refrigerator, peel only what you'll eat, and eat them cold within 2 days, or reheat once to a safe internal temperature, about 165 degrees Fahrenheit. If the egg smells strongly sulfurous, trust your nose and let it go. Your digestion is precious. If reheating can bother the gut, the next mistake can put you in the ER. It's not about infection, it's about pressure, and it happens in seconds. 3. Microwaving eggs in the shell. This one gives me chills because I've seen the aftermath. Microwaves heat erratically. Steam builds inside the shell. There's nowhere for it to go until the egg explodes. Sometimes it detonates inside the microwave. Sometimes it waits until you pierce it with a fork and then blasts scalding yolk and shell shards into your face and hands. Case reports in the Journal of Burn Care and Research document second-degree burns from this exact scenario. Older skin is thinner, less oily, and takes longer to heal. Richard is 74, a retired math teacher, practical and efficient. He microwaved an egg in its shell for just 30 seconds. It looked fine. He set it on the table, tapped it with a knife, and it exploded up and out. He arrived at clinic with blistered lips and a ring of burns along his cheekbone. He healed, but eating became painful for weeks. Your fix. If you're using a microwave, never cook an egg in its shell. Crack it into a microwave-safe bowl, whisk with a splash of water, cover loosely, and heat in short intervals, stirring between bursts. Better yet, poach or soft scramble gently on the stovetop. Speed is lovely. Safety is lovelier. We've talked about heat and pressure. Now we need to talk about the opposite mistake, not enough heat. This is where my own cafeteria story lives, and it's where many hospital admissions begin. 2. Eating raw or undercooked eggs. Runny yolks look luxurious on a plate. Homemade mayonnaise feels wholesome. Cookie dough tastes like childhood. But raw or undercooked eggs can carry salmonella enterica, and older immune systems don't neutralize it as quickly. The CDC has estimated tens of thousands of foodborne illnesses linked to eggs each year in the U.S., and older adults are far more likely to be hospitalized once infected. The risk doesn't vanish with organic or farm fresh because contamination can occur inside the hen before the shell forms. Joan is 69, a retired florist who started most mornings with a soft-boiled egg whose yolk ran like sunshine. One Monday, she spiked a fever, began vomiting, and couldn't even keep sips of water down. In the emergency department, she was treated for salmonella enteritis. Her blood pressure dipped, her kidneys strained, and it took days to stabilize her. Your fix. Cook eggs until whites and yolks are firm. If you want a tender texture, poach until set rather than leaving the middle runny. Skip raw cookie dough, foam-made eggnog, and unpasteurized sauces. If a recipe truly requires raw egg, use pasteurized eggs from the grocery store carton labeled as such. They've been gently heated to kill pathogens without cooking the egg. We're down to the number one mistake, the one that does its damage quietly, in plain sight on hundreds of breakfast tables every day. It isn't a burst or a bug, it's chemistry. Overcooking eggs until they're dry and rubbery. It seems safer to cook hard, but overcooking changes eggs in ways your heart and blood vessels don't like. High, prolonged heat denatures quantines, squeezes out moisture, and promotes the formation of oxidized cholesterol, that brittle, reactive kind that's been associated with atherosclerosis in both mechanistic studies and food chemistry research. If you've ever seen a greenish-gray ring around a hard-boiled yolk, you've witnessed a sulfur-iron reaction that flourishes with overcooking. The taste suffers, and so can your numbers. Evelyn is 76, a retired boarding school house mother. She boiled her eggs until the yolks crumbled like chalk because she equated firmness with safety. Over the years, her HDL fell, her LDL crept, and a carotid ultrasound revealed plaque she never imagined she had. We didn't ban eggs. We changed how she cooked them. Gently poached, softly scrambled on low heat until just set. Poach until the white is opaque and the yolk is softly set, not runny. For hard-boiled eggs, simmer about 9 to 10 minutes, then plunge into ice water to halt the cooking and prevent that gray ring. You keep the B12, choline, and lutein you came for, and you avoid the oxidative byproducts you don't. 7 quiet mistakes turn a healthy staple into a hazard. Leaving eggs out to warm and wake the bacteria, piling on yolks every single day, inviting processed meats to the party, and letting salt, nitrates, and saturated fat steal the show. Reheating boiled eggs again and again until your gut protests. Trusting raw or runny dishes to treat you kindly when they won't. Microwaving in the shell and turning breakfast into a pressure bomb, and cooking so hard and so long that you strip the nutrients and create byproducts your arteries don't need. Each mistake has a simple fix, and together they form a gentle code of kitchen safety. Keep eggs cold, cook them thoroughly but kindly, pair them with plants, and treat leftovers with respect. These aren't little tweaks for food snobs. They are acts of protection for a heart that has beaten loyally for you, for bones that have carried you across decades, for a brain that still lights up when your grandchild laughs. Eggs can be a gift in older age, affordable, nourishing, comforting. They deserve your care, and so do you. Now tell me honestly, have you made one of these mistakes? Did you microwave an egg in its shell once? Do you love a runny yolk? Or maybe you keep that pretty bowl by the window. Share your experience in the comments. I read every one, and your story will help another woman stay out of the ER and in the life she loves. If this helped you, like the video so more seniors see it before it's too late, and subscribe for more science-based senior health tips. We're building a community where simple changes add up to extra years and better days inside every year. I'm Dr. Sarah. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next video.